Chapter 6, The Way to School, 1933. It was Saturday, April 1st, 1933. We were coming out of school. Friedrich said, "My mother dragged me to the doctor yesterday afternoon, you know. She wanted him to wash out my ears. He didn't, though." "Why not?" I asked. Friedrich laughed. "He said it wasn't necessary yet. To start with, I'm going to take this restorative he prescribed. It's quite sweet and not bad. He told me 3 spoonfuls a day would make me so strong I could stand having the stuff taken out of my ears." I looked curiously at Friedrich. "And?" Friedrich shrugged. "I took 5 because it tasted so good." He still hadn't given me the right answer, so I asked again, "What about your ears?" Friedrich pushed out his lower lip. Then he said, "Mother cleaned my ears last night." I still wasn't satisfied. "Did you scream?" Eyes cast down, Friedrich admitted, "Only a little." Silently, we walked side by side. It was a Saturday like any Saturday. The traffic moved smoothly, women were doing their weekend marketing, and we had almost no homework. "Which doctor do you go to?" I asked Friedrich. "We will be going by his house any minute now," he answered, pointing to an apartment house. "That's his sign," he said. A doctor's white sign hung beside the front door. In flourishing black script it read, "Dr. Jacob Askenase, Specialist for Children's Ailments, licensed to all insurance companies. Office hours 9 a.m. to 12 noon and 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Daily except Saturday." Across it, someone had scrawled the word Jew in red paint. Friedrich shook his head. "Who could have done that?" He touched the paint with his finger. "It's still wet." Friedrich looked around. "Come on," he said, stepping through the outside door and pressing a B.L. beside the name Dr. Askenase. We waited. "He has no office hours today," I pointed out. "Maybe he isn't in." Maybe we were just going to leave when the buzzer sounded. Friedrich threw his back against the inner door until it opened. We climbed just a few steps and stood outside the door with the doctor's sign. A middle-aged man in a dark suit appeared. A yarmulke was on his head. Then he saw Friedrich. He smiled and asked, "Well, Friedrich, any flowers growing out of your ears yet?" Friedrich blushed, and in a faint voice he replied, "No, my mother cleaned them yesterday." The doctor nodded. "There you are," he said. "I knew that good medicine would make you sensible. Or don't you like it?" "Oh, yes," Friedrich quickly agreed, licking his lips. Then he added, "This is my friend. You'll have to prescribe some for him one day, too." Dr. Askenase shook my hand. "In that case, you and your mother will have to come and see me," he said. He went on, "But you didn't come about that, did you? Friedrich knows I don't see patients on Saturday. Don't you?" Friedrich seemed confused. "We wanted to let you know," he began, "that someone scrawled the word drool over your sign downstairs." I finished for him. "I know," said the doctor. "I read it. Don't worry. I'll remove it tomorrow." Dr. Askenase had turned serious. He lightly touched our hair and shook our hands again. "Thank you for coming, and now get home quickly." He was no longer smiling as he closed the door behind us. When we came out of the house, we saw people had gathered at the next corner. "An accident," guessed Friedrich. We unbuckled the satchels on our backs and put them under our arms. I bounded ahead. At the corner was a small stationery shop. To get into it, you had to go down a few steps. Besides ink, drawing pads, and colored paper, it also sold candy. Candy bars at 5 pfennigs each or licorice at 2 pfennigs a stick. The shop belonged to a little old man with a pointed beard. We bought our notebooks in his shop. The old man was always kind and friendly. Often he took a pfennig off the price and gave us some candy as well. Sometimes we had made fun of the old man and his goat's voice, bleating loudly as we came down his stairs. But he never took that amiss. Indeed, it sometimes occurred to us that he would bleat extra loud for our sakes. Outside his shop, a crowd had collected. The people stood pressed so closely together that one couldn't see what was going on. A few were laughing and jeering. Others looked serious. We shoved our way to the front of the throng to see better. No one hindered us. A young woman even gave us a push forward. Beneath the sign, Abraham Rosenthal, Stationery, a man in gray breeches straddled the entrance to the shop. His puttees were untidily wound around his calves. He wore an armband with a swastika on the left sleeve of his yellow shirt, and in his right hand he held a broomstick, an ordinary broomstick, and fastened to it was a cardboard sign that read in clumsy letters, "Don't buy from Jews." An old woman carrying a worn shopping bag walked up to the sign. From her coat pocket she pulled a pair of glasses that were missing one earpiece. Holding them close to her eyes, she tried to read the sign. The sign carrier pretended not to notice the old woman staring right over her at the crowd. The woman put her glasses back in her pocket. Searchingly, she pattered back and forth in front of the man with the armband. Finally, she stopped and said quietly, "Kindly let me pass." Without moving and without looking at the woman, the picketer recited in a monotone, "Don't buy from Jews." "But I want to," the old woman insisted, and when the man didn't budge, she squeezed between him and the wall and flitted down the stairs and into the shop. The bystanders grinned. In the back rows, some even laughed out loud. The man with the sign didn't move a muscle, only his left hand, thumb stuck behind the buckle of his belt, clenched into a fist. Shortly afterward, the old woman pulled herself up the stairs. A roll of blue wrapping paper for schoolbook covers peeked out of her bag. Smiling, the woman, leading with her shoulder, pushed herself past the man. With a nod, she told him, "Thank you very much, young man." Holding herself very straight, she walked past the crowd, carrying the shopping bag in such a way that everyone could see the wrapping paper she had bought. Nearsightedly, she smiled at them all and walked away. Abraham Rosenthal stepped into the doorway of his basement shop. His face serious, he peered at the people outside his shop. Politely, Friedrich greeted Herr Rosenthal so pointedly that no one could fail to notice. I merely nodded to him. The little man with the pointed beard answered with a silent bow. Though clenched teeth, the sign-bearer snarled at us, "Get away from here, go on." Friedrich looked him up and down and said, "We can stand here as long as you can." The man pushed out his lower jaw. Taking a deep breath, he asked in a threatened tone, "Want to be fresh, brat?" A few people walked away. The rest drew back a step. All of a sudden, it was utterly quiet. No one talked. No one laughed. We stood alone. The man breathed hard. The cardboard sign shook. I saw a hand settling on Friedrich's shoulder at the same time that I felt a hand touch mine. We both turned around. Behind us stood Friedrich's father. He said, "Come." Then he took us home.